Chapter 20. Javea rang the bell at the front of the apartment building. It was an old design that had been renovated over the past few years to bring it up to modern specifications. There wasn't enough space to add a lift, but the nature of buildings in Javea was that they weren't so high that this was a problem. But the rest of the place had been brought to standard, and it was far more than just a lick of paint. The internet connection was the envy of the rest of the neighbourhood. The entrance had been given a complete makeover to look like a fancy office reception, and the communal swimming pool had been completely replaced. He tried to remember what it looked like before, but that was one of the issues with Javea's memory. He couldn't recall things from the past that well. People, places. If a bridge was knocked down, Javea had difficulty remembering the bridge ever having existed. He had no idea why that was, but figured it was something to do with the brain and survival. He put most things down to that. If his ancestors hadn't survived, then he wouldn't be here. He buzzed again. Patience wasn't strong with him that day. He felt like he was being given the runaround by everyone. The doctor wasn't totally with it. The man involved in the accident had gone missing, and nobody had returned his calls about the night before. Something had to give. Javea looked over the street to the school where he had spent some of his childhood. Moving backwards and forwards from North Wales to East Spain had meant that he never found anywhere to call home. But this school in this neighbourhood was as close as it came. He squinted, trying to picture himself in the playground, enjoying the sun, kicking a football around and chasing his friends. It came back to him all too easily. Javea would gladly start again and go back there. It wasn't that he was dissatisfied with his life, but having a 40-year reset sounded like a great idea. Even better if he could keep his experience in the meantime. "Hello?" The voice interrupted Javea's trip down memory lane. "Good afternoon. Is that Maya? My name is Javea Jones. I'm with Javea Police. Can we talk? It's about your brother." "Javea Jones? There can't be more than one person with that name in this town. I remember you from school. Come on up," she replied, pressing the button at her end that opened the reception for Javea. He would have to buzz again at her door, he suspected. His suspicions were wrong. The door was left ajar. He could hear a kettle boiling. Did everyone expect the British detective to want a cup of tea? He hoped not. The Spanish influence in his life from his mother meant that he was far more partial to coffee than tea. Good quality coffee, at least. "Maya?" Javea asked as he pushed the door and stuck his head around it. His feet were firmly planted on the outside of the threshold to the property until he got permission to enter. It felt better that way. "Come in. Tea?" she replied. "Coffee, if you have it," he responded loud and clear. He didn't want to chance a cup of tea. The tea bags they sold in Spanish supermarkets weren't what the British would call tea. Lipton's had cornered the market in the rest of the world as far as Javea's travels informed him. But you wouldn't get away with that in the UK. His favourite when visiting his father's family in Wales was Yorkshire tea. But even the own-brand supermarket teas were good enough. He wondered why these teas hadn't travelled to Europe or the Caribbean, where he avoided tea at all costs. "Of course, come through to the kitchen. Let's see what little Javea Jones has grown up into," Maya requested. As Javea walked in, she looked at the 3-foot mark as though little Javea Jones wouldn't have grown in the decades since they were last in each other's company, as though she hadn't also aged. Her eyes rose until her neck was craned up instead of down. "Hola, Maya." "Hola, Javea," she replied, trying to force a smile onto her face. The loss of her brother hadn't hit her as hard as it might someone else, but it was still a sad time. "How are you?" Javea asked, realising that in that instant that was a stupid question. Before he could try to retract or apologise, she smiled and held out her hand to indicate it was fine. "I'm okay." "My, how you've grown." "That's what tends to happen when you go from a schoolboy to a man." "Has it been that long?" "I can't think when or where we would have met up in between."
You?
Suppose not. So, you're in the police?
For many a year now. I'm a murder detective. I'm looking into the death of Hugo. I remember you from school, but don't ever remember you having a brother.
Well, we don't remember everything that happened in the past, she replied. The caginess was evident. Javea locked onto it. He didn't know how to deal with it.
No, we don't. But I thought I'd remember that. Was he older, younger?
Older, and he lived away when we were young. Probably why you don't remember him.
Maya, I'm going to ask some questions related to Hugo's life. I need you to think and answer. I don't know if some of these might be upsetting, but believe me that I wouldn't ask if I didn't need to. Is this okay?
Yes. Do you think he might have been murdered?
I don't know, but my job is to investigate and find out.
Okay.
Do you know if Hugo had any enemies in life? Anyone that would want to see him come to harm, or even dead?
Oh my God, no. 1,000 times no. The words were emphatic, but the body language wasn't. Something told Javea that he wasn't getting the full picture from Maya. Something reminded him of the way she was in school. Evasive, elusive, desirable. The desirability had disappeared, but the rest was there.
Did he have any money troubles, relationship issues, the kind of thing that leads people to dislike each other?
I don't know about his private life. He kept it, well, private. I really didn't know him that well.
Maya responded with an evasiveness that was becoming familiar and annoying. So you can't think of any reason your brother is laid dead in the morgue in Denia Hospital? Javea asked, pressing hard as he dared. Maya shook her head. She said, no. But something inside Javea suggested she had more than she was willing to give.